Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over, briefly, what I have learned so far in JavaScript coding. So we are using right now VSC, which is a very useful software and is classified as an editor. You can use editors to write and test code. So let's start with coding languages. Coding is not just one thing that you can learn. There are different versions of coding that all have their own uses. Today I'm going to be using JavaScript language. This language is very flexible and can be used for different things like creating games and apps and websites. Today I'm going to be showcasing how it can be used to make games. This code here is actually a smaller version of the Angry Birds game, all of it combined at least. So let's go ahead and look at our code. You can see on the left here we have different classes, that's what they're called. These are all different aspects of the game. So you can see here we have box, we have bird, we have the logs, we have pig, and these are all the different objects that we have in the game. So these are all these classes are used as a baseline. So let's say we are just giving this bird we're just giving all the birds in the game attributes. So giving them the same image, the same visibility, the same smoke image that follows them when they fly because they're going so fast, and then we have the smoke down here, and all of this is just used for every single bird in the game. But if we look up here, we have base class and extends base class. So that is used for box.js as well, log.js, and pig.js. So base class is also over here on the left. And base class contains variables that are going to apply to every single class that extends from it. So you can see all of these variables, all of them are going to be extending into each of these classes. So let's talk about physics in video games. This is linked, trust me. So, you know how in most video games there are physics, right? There has to be some sort of basic, function of reality so we know exactly what we're doing. And it's obviously very hard to code every single physics for every single object in the game, which is why we use these things called libraries. This library right here is matter.js. This one is used to create a physics engine, which will be basically creating physics for every single object in the game, no matter what. And that's really useful, so we don't have to code every single physics, just attribute to every object in the game. And you can see here, there's 10,000 lines of code, and we would have to do that for every single object. And it's always useful because you can find these on GitHub or just anywhere around the internet, which is just so useful because it's obviously very hard to get physics into your game. So, now that we have that, now that we have our physics, now that we have our objects, let's combine it all and then just make a game that we can play later on. So that is what we use index. So we've just told the computer all the objects, what to do with the objects. Well, not what, that's what we use Sketch for, but down here we have more libraries, matter.js library, all of the objects, and then we have sketch.js, and sketch.js is where we tell it what to do with all the objects and what to do with all the physics. So you can see here we have all of our constants, which is just matter and physics engines. Then up here we have our variables, and then we have the game states, so we have all of this, and then setup is where we use these classes, these objects, and then we tell the computer where to put them, and then we tell it like that we need new ones, or that we need just where to put them really, and how to display them is down here. We just have display here, and then that's in function draw, and then this is function setup. And also function draw whatever you put in here will always be constant. It'll keep running over and over and over and over again. So that's what you use function draw for. And then function setup is where you just tell the computer where everything is, and then display will always have them displayed. And then we have our other functions that we create ourselves. So this function here, just for an example, we have this one, which is get background image. And this one will find the time zone that I'm in, and then it'll find the time, and then if it's the hour is over 6 p.m., then it'll be nighttime in the game. So you can see here, it's 7:30, and you can see that we have our images, and then, also I'm going to run that in a second. Actually, why is it? Okay, and then we have all of our code, all of our objects, all of our physics. Now we tell the computer what we want to do with the code, and now we hit this button here, go live. This is going to open a live server, a local server, but so it's not going to be very intuitive. It's not going to be the best. It's definitely not going to be a finished product, but if I hit go live, it should